So, Black Myth Wukong has recently taken the internet by storm. Created by Chinese game developer Game Science, it is China's very first AAA game widely accepted by the Western audience. Its appeal, apart from its similarity to the Souls-like we all know and love, also lies within the popularity of Sun Wukong, our beloved hero from Wu Cheng'en's Journey to the West. Being the inspiration for many characters in popular media like Goku and a certain League of Legends character, he is the classic example of a hero that, despite tremendous challenges, defies destiny and finds redemption. However, what if I tell you there's more to Wukong's story than Journey to the West? That there is actually an entire worldview to the gods, Buddhas, monsters, demons, and humans of Wukong's world, and many have their respective origin stories. Journey to the West belongs to a category of Chinese mythology called Shenmo fiction, meaning gods and demons. This is actually seen in the trailer but is lost in translation. These stories often share the same world building, characters, and concepts to other Shenmo stories and earlier Chinese mythology. For example, did you know that after Wukong completed his journey, he tutored the nephew of Erlangshen, the deity with whom he fought to a standstill during his Havoc in Heaven arc? We also see him in the opening sequence. In an interview with the creator of the game, it is revealed that they saw the story of Wukong through three perspectives. The first being the initial fascination with Wukong's superb combat abilities and badass story. The second being the realization of Wukong's struggle against destiny and structures. And the final layer being detachment from the protagonist's perspectives and focus on the unique backgrounds, motives, and values of different deities, demons, and other beings. The creator also said that they stuck to the original works when incorporating the landscape and characters into the game. This means that Black Myth Wukong will heavily incorporate the world building from Shenmue stories and explore the lore behind these characters. In this video, I will try to explore the fantastical world of Black Myth Wukong and Shenmue stories, starting with Journey to the West. I won't go over the entirety of the story, as you may find many good videos on the subject. I will mostly be highlighting potential connections to the broader Shenmue world and explaining why these connections are important to the game itself. Journey to the West contains four main parts: the birth of Wukong until his imprisonment below the Five Elements Mountain, the backstory of Tang Seng, who is Wukong's spiritual master, the journey itself, and the return to China. I will focus on the first part as it reveals the most connections regarding the heavenly realm and the histories of the gods. The very first chapter explains that after Pangu, a primordial being who dwelt in the void, opened the universe with an axe, the world was divided into three realms: the heaven realm, the earth realm, which is the underworld, and the mortal realm. A pantheon of deities already governs each of these realms by the time of Wukong and abide by strict structures and rules, which are the heavenly code. For example, there is to be no intermarriage between inhabitants of heaven and the mortal world, a rule that is central to Erlangshen and his nephew's backstory, another Shenmue tale that I will explore later. The pantheon of deities mostly reports to the Celestial Palace, led by the Jade Emperor, who also happens to be used by Marvel as the character who made the 10 rings. It should be noted that in Shenmue mythos there are mainly two types of deities within the heavenly realm: Taoist and Buddhist ones. And while the Buddha and his disciples are very powerful and well respected, they still report to the summons of the Jade Emperor, who stands above religion. Throughout Wukong's journey, you will see him interact and struggle against all levels of celestial bureaucracy. The story begins with a supernatural monkey, who birthed from a rock at Flowers and Fruits Mountain. Through his shrewdness and abilities, he eventually becomes the Monkey King. However, this was a pawn too small for our hero. He eventually sought out Grandmaster Bodhi, a saint who gave Wukong his name, meaning enlightened to nothingness. His last name, Sun, is a mixture of the characters for monkey and sun, or male. Anyways, Wukong also learned the ability of 72 transformations, similar to Beast Boy or Mystique from X-Men, and Somersault Cloud, which allows him to travel 108,000 li, and 1 li is roughly equivalent to 550 meters. You will definitely see this in action throughout the game. Wukong has many important powers that we will see in the game, and I hope to explore these in another video. Interestingly, his master is actually a disciple of Ru Lai the Buddha, but this is not elaborated in the novel itself. After being chased out by his master due to disorderly conduct, Wukong began a search for a weapon and ways to reach immortality. This resulted in his journey through the Eastern Dragon Palace, which governs the Eastern Ocean and is ruled by the Eastern Dragon King, where he stole their valued item, the ocean calming treasure, and this actually becomes his signature staff. This isn't the first time that the Dragon Palace was disturbed. Previously, it was also left in disarray by Nezha, another of Wukong's worthy adversaries, when he killed the Eastern Dragon King's son and used him as a belt. Moreover, in another Shenmue novel, Journey to the East, and yes, there are actually 4 journeys, and Wukong shows up for a cameo sometimes. The protagonists of Journey to the East are 8 different deities and are supposed to cross the Eastern Ocean to attend a peach-tasting feast, and it's the same one that Wukong wrecks later on in his Havoc in Heaven. During their journey, they came in conflict with the Eastern Dragon King, and once again humiliates him with their different powers. Wukong actually came out and helped defeat the Dragon King's generals, and seems like the Eastern Dragon King cannot catch a break. From the game footage, it also seems that we will definitely see the Dragon King or some sort of connection to him. Wukong then journeyed to the underworld, and after completely trashing the place, he forced them to take his name off the Life and Death pamphlet, a book that works like the Death Note. All this ruckus greatly angered the celestial powers, but under the advice of Taishang Laojun, a Taoist deity, the Jade Emperor gave Wukong a post as horsekeeper. You can imagine Wukong wasn't all too happy about this when he learns what the horsekeeper does, and thus began his most famous Havoc in Heaven storyline. After further compromise by the Jade Emperor, Wukong was named Keeper of the Heaven Peach Garden, but he wasn't invited to the peach-tasting feast. He thus named himself the Heavenly Equal Saint, stealing the heavenly peaches and granting himself immortality. He then trashes the feast. The Jade Emperor thus decided to go all out, sending his best generals and 100,000 soldiers to apprehend Wukong. Some notable adversaries included the 4 heavenly kings, whom you see here in the trailer, the giant god Juling Shen, who I believe is this character, but the 2 most important ones are perhaps Nezha and Erlangshen, each with their respective origin stories. Wukong was then defeated by Erlangshen and trapped in the furnace of Taishang Laojun, where he obtained his fiery golden eyes, another famous power. He then escaped and was finally defeated by the Buddha himself and trapped under the 5 Elements mountain for 500 years before he began his journey with Tang Seng. I won't touch on the journey itself too much, as these connections are better made with the full picture of the game. Nonetheless, Wukong and his companions completed the journey and returned to China, with the fellowship becoming either saints or Buddhas. Though it seems that in Black Myth Wukong's continuity, he will reject this offer and anger the gods, a pivotal plot point. So, what does the Journey to the West reveal about the Shenmue world, and how do these characters connect to each other? Wukong's companions actually have their fair share of connections to the broader Shenmue world as well. For example, Ba Jie, during his time as the Heaven Marshal, harassed the moon fairy Chang'e, but Chang'e was actually not supposed to be in heaven. She was the wife of a human hero named Hou Yi, who shot down 9 suns and left 1, and ended humanity's suffering. He was rewarded with a potion of immortality, and his apprentice coveted the potion and attempted to steal it. Thus, Chang'e, attempting to protect the potion, drank it instead, and ascended to the moon with her rabbit. This rabbit later becomes an antagonist in Journey to the West. Moreover, some say that the crystal goblet that Shasung broke is the same manner of treasure as the Lotus Lantern, the treasure that is central to Erlangshen and his nephew's story. We also know quite a lot of the backstory of the pantheon of the gods and deities. In other Shenmue novels, such as The Investiture of the Gods, we learn about how the current pantheon of gods came to be. Through a bloody war with the last tyrannical king of the Shang dynasty, Zhou, various deities such as Li Jing, the tower-holding god, and Ne Zha are all prominent characters in this novel. The story also includes how Ne Zha obtained his famous flaming rings, dragon belt, and red scarf, and highlights his rampage throughout the Eastern Dragon Palace. We also see the order of hierarchy of the Taoist, Buddhist, and other gods. For example, did you know that Ne Zha and Erlangshen's masters were basically classmates and shared a teacher named Yuanshi Tianzun, who roughly translates to Primordial Heaven Lord? He then actually is peers with Taishang Laojun, the Taoist deity who advised the Jade Emperor to hire Wukong, and later helped Erlangshen defeat Wukong and trapped him in his furnace. So why is all this world building relevant to the game? And apart from a more immersive experience, the answer to our question lies in the definition of black myth. The term myth can refer to the theme of the game being grim and dark in nature, similar to the beloved Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and Bloodborne, where the folly of the gods and humans put the world onto a path of no return. We can look at some evidence of this throughout the game's trailers. In the leaked opening sequence, we see an angered Wukong stating that he rejected the offer of Buddhahood and wanting to retire. He also talked about his slain monkeykin on Flowers and Fruits Mountain, and he then fights Erlangshen Yang Jian and was defeated. We can deduce that the deities in this world, similar to the ones we see in Dark Souls or Elden Ring, are sometimes malicious, and something is seriously wrong with them. We also see Wukong fall victim to the golden headband, meaning that the Buddhas lied to him about removing it in this continuity, and perhaps even working with Tang Seng to restrain Wukong. This deception and betrayal is something I'm eager to explore in the game. Moreover, to note a connection to the Shenmue world, Yang Jian uses the mountain splitting axe, another legendary weapon. This relates to the heavenly code we have discussed before, where mortals cannot intermingle with immortals. Yang's mother, who is the Jade Emperor's sister and a goddess, broke this rule by marrying Yang's father and was trapped under a mountain. Yang eventually used the mountain splitting axe to break the mountain and save his mother, but decided to side with the heavenly realm and thus becoming Erlangshen, a god of combat. Much later, Yang's sister also broke the heavenly code and birthed his nephew, Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang eventually followed in his uncle's footsteps and saved his mother using the mountain splitting axe. During his story, he was also tutored by Wukong, who is by now the victorious Buddha of combat. For those of you interested in this story, please check out the Lotus Lantern. There is a great animated movie. I also hope to make another video on this story. Anyways, back to Black Myth Wukong. We can see that the creators value other elements of the Shenmue world and incorporate it into their story, meaning the Shenmue world building will be integral to holistically understanding the story of Black Myth Wukong. There are also other things we see in the trailers. For example, in this scene we see a corpse of a Buddhist deity with many arms. Some have speculated this to be Ne Zha due to the scarf around him, flame-like hair, bracelets, and his many arms, though it is more likely for it to be Peacock Buddha Mahamayuri due to their bird-like feet and forearms instead of Ne Zha's 8 or 6 in some continuities. This same Peacock Buddha was actually almost killed by the Buddha himself because of his abnormality. This begs the question, what kind of malicious forces are in play to result in the death of a Buddhist saint or deity? On the other hand, the scene seems to take place at Laying Temple from chapter 65 of the book, where the great king Yellowbrow, a fake Buddha, confronted Wukong and his auxiliary, including serpent and tortoise generals and 5 divine dragons. Yellowbrow then defeated Wukong's heavenly aides using the human sack, a powerful treasure that kidnaps even gods. And here we see what could be the remains of a serpent or dragon-like creature. We also see a weeping dragon king, who may be a survivor of the battle with the Yellowbrow. Therefore, it is highly possible that this game describes the decadence of the Chinese mythological world, a world where gods have fallen, lesser beings fight for survival, and our heroes are dead or nowhere to be seen. In Journey to the West, we often see antagonists who are actually spawns of the immortals or arose due to the ignorance of the gods. It is also possible that this game will explore the consequences finally catching up to the ignorance and arrogance of the gods. So where does that leave our players? Philosophically speaking, the title Wukong isn't just the name of our beloved hero, but also an imperative term emphasizing enlightenment and awareness to nothingness. Perhaps it will be the theme of the story itself, the return to nothingness. The player seems to begin as a golden cicada, as told by the old monkey. It is a signature transformation of reincarnation and nirvana. This was also used by Tang Seng before he began his journey to the west, and is actually the reason why so many monsters believe Tang Seng's flesh is the key to immortality. The golden cicada will take our story to the protagonist, titled Heavenly Destined One, and on the path of Wukong. Before you begin the game, I also hope you can listen to this legendary theme from the original Journey to the West TV show. A variation of it is used in the first trailer of the game, and it perfectly encapsulates the grandeur of the epic Chinese mythological world and the epic heroes, gods, and demons that struggle in it. Thank you for watching this very first video of mine. I hope you can enjoy the upcoming game to the fullest extent, not just its gameplay but the story and the character building. In the future, I also hope to make more videos regarding the expansive world of Chinese mythology, as it is truly one of a kind, so feel free to subscribe for more.